very good morning from California. Our expert for today's session is Suzy Patz. She is the founder of Love Out Loud, an app that monetizes the simple good people do every day to raise money for charity. She is also a motivational speaker who believes that all success is achieved in the minds and hearts of people around. She dedicates her time to inspire souls around her and help them reach their highest potential and live their best life possible. Welcome, ma'am, on behalf of Team Enlightenment.
Thank you. It is so good to be here. I'm happy to talk with you today. Excited to see where we go.
Right. I hope you and your loved ones are doing well, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Astray, and I will be moderating the webinar today.
It's nice to meet you. I'm super excited to be here, and I appreciate you guys reaching out and asking me to be on. I think this is a really important topic to discuss, especially right now.
Right. So for those who are watching us for the very first time, Enlightenment is India's first personalized web app platform to solve students' problem of determining their career path by conducting various career guidance interviews with leading experts. Now, without any further delay, let's start with the conversation. Okay. So, yeah. So, ma'am, the very first question would be, how did the journey of entrepreneurship started? And give us more information about your venture, Love Out Loud. Yeah.
You bet. So, I think like many people, and probably many people watching this, watching this webcast, we are almost programmed to, feel like there's a path that we should take, that we have to take. And that's usually pretty easy, right? You jump in, you get a job, you work for somebody else, and you do that for a long time. And, you feel like you've developed the skills to do that. And that was me for a long time. To be honest, although the idea came earlier, entrepreneurship didn't start until COVID shut everything down a little over a year ago.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel blessed in that there was all of a sudden this like push to have to start something on my own. I had the time. I was, like you said, I'm a speaker. And so all of a sudden I can't get out in front of groups of people to talk. I was in the trading and investing world. And it almost forced me to take this idea that I've been thinking about and make it real. And that idea was Love Out Loud. So Love Out Loud is an app that gamifies the good that people do every day. People will simply post the good that they do. And for every post of good somebody makes, money is donated to a nonprofit. So that's the simple of it. And we are just getting started. We're just getting out there, and it's exciting. It's really exciting to be able to do that. I'm sure a lot of people were also pushed on their entrepreneur journey the same way that I was. And honestly, that's how it got started. That's how I was pushed to do this.
That's great. That sounds like a very, very interesting journey, ma'am.
Yeah.
So what was your key driving force to become an entrepreneur, and who was your greatest inspiration?
My driving force.
Yeah.
I think this is actually an incredibly important question, because I want to say that is probably the one thing that along this journey keeps you going, because it isn't easy. I don't think anybody will ever say that it is. For me, it's the drive to help people find love for themselves. What I had recognized a few years ago, and this is going to get a little deep for a second, but here in the United States, a few years before, and this is before everything had shut down, we kept seeing on the news, there were a number of school shootings, there were a number of suicides, and I stepped back and looked at, why is this happening, right? What is it with us that needs to change in order to be able to react to these situations differently, right? And it comes down to, at the very bottom of it, people's love for themselves, their ability to be able to manage difficult situations and not knowing how to do that. And so that's my driving force. I want people to be able to love themselves a little bit more. And so that's where this came from. And that's what drives me every single day to keep this going.
The pandemic has actually caused, very big damage to the whole world. Like everywhere we get the same news that something bad or something new is again coming up. And people have learned to adapt also. That's true. We are adapting to new changes and the new normal. That's
Yeah,
true.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, how did you get the idea of your business? Like, you got the inspiration from the pandemic and you saw people, in the United States and all over the world happening. So that's there, but how did you get the idea of getting it into an application and, spreading it among the people?
So we're getting deep again, if you will. A little bit about my story. And so 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And it was something that completely rocked me. And here's the thing, everybody seems to know somebody who's had cancer these days, but it changes your perspective on life. And at the time, I realized there was something more I was supposed to be doing with my life, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And, when you're in that space and you're going through all of this, realization, change of perspective, the rest of the world keeps going. They're not going through the same thing that you are. So, as you go through it, you just want to jump back in and get back to normal. And that was what I did. But when you don't figure something out the first time, life has a way of coming back around to make sure that you do. So about 4 years ago, I went out for a run. And there was a young kid that was texting and driving, and he hit me with his car. So I cracked my skull and I suffered brain damage. And that was an incredibly challenging recovery. I came out the other side a completely different person. And that realization of all of the support that I had, I felt so incredibly lucky. I couldn't have imagined going through something like that without having that kind of family around me. I'm sure you can, relate to that. When you have challenging things, the people around you that support you are everything. So I was really, really grateful for that. And then, like you said, I saw the need for, suicides and the school shootings and everybody being able to need that kind of support. So what actually clicked the idea after all of that, I'm in this space of trying to figure out, okay, how do I bring this to the world? Like you said, I was a public speaker. I was going to do an event and I was up in Los Angeles at the time and I'd stayed over at a hotel. And I'm checking out the valet. They're up getting my car. He's making small talk. He's asking, what places I went to go see. And I just told him, I was like, no, I was only here for one night. I've got an event today. And he stops the conversation and he looks at me and then he looks at my suitcase, which was huge. And then he looks back at me and he's like, are you smuggling a body? I laughed. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. And it made my day, right? I had all these nerves about doing this event I was doing. And so I tip him $20. And he is blown away by this. He runs over to my window, knocks on it. He's like, ma'am, you tipped me $20. And I said, I know, that was intentional. Thank you for making my morning. And he offered to run and get me a Starbucks. And I realized in that moment how much opportunity there is in every single day for us to do some little something to make each other's day. I mean, it can be just an off-color joke. Maybe it's just giving a really nice tip to somebody you appreciate, but there's so many opportunities and we so often miss it. We love the quotes, right? We love the videos that are on social media, but in our day-to-day, we kind of have blinders on and we just go about our normal. So
True.
The original idea was to create reminders. It was to create an app that would give you reminders to do good things as you're going throughout the day. And that's how it started. And then it just kind of snowballed from there because there's so much you can do with that. And now I have an incredible team around me. One of my developers is one of the original creators of Splice before it was sold to GoPro.
Okay.
Yeah, and my creative is amazing. She's got over 20 years in the field. So it just, when you get minds like that together, it just all kind of becomes something awesome. So that's where it started, with an off-color comment from a ballet.
That's like a great. The background itself is such an inspiration, not only for the entrepreneurs, but also for the people to be so happy with the small things in life. That's what matters at the end of the day, the small things.
Absolutely. I think we miss it, but think about when you just like get up and you get a nice text or somebody that really appreciates something that you do. I mean, that can change your mind. That it's huge.
Exactly. It makes the whole day. You're happy throughout the day after that.
Exactly. And then you kind of want to pass it on. And so then you're bringing happy to somebody else. Yeah, it's
that's true.
That's
a great initiative, I must say. So coming on to the next question would be like, do you believe in some sort of a pattern or formula to become a successful entrepreneur?
I don't know if there's a specific pattern or formula, because I think how everyone approaches it is going to be a little bit different, and you have to work with what works best for you. But I do think, at least for me, I'll say one of the biggest challenges was going from the space of when you go into work every day, everything that you're going to do is given to you, right? You come in, like for me, I was managing a team of around 150 people at one point, professional traders, and I would come in to probably 50 different emails. That would be my day. So addressing all these challenges that came up, things that I have to do for these teams. And when you are an entrepreneur and you're out on your own, you have to create your own structure, right? It's not somebody else that you come into a job and here's your job outline and here's what you're going to do. It's making certain and holding yourself accountable every day to what you need to get done in order to achieve your goal. It sounds simple, but it can be really challenging to make that transition.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. So I heard about this phase that entrepreneurs work 24/7. They don't have any, 9 to 5 shifts. They go to office and come back home and chill. So they don't have that option. So I would like to ask you that what are the challenges that an entrepreneur faces in the day-to-day journey? How did you face any challenges when you started off with your venture?
Say that one more time. You cut out a second for me.
Oh, okay. So I was basically asking you that what were the challenges that you faced at the beginning of the journey, and what are the day-to-day challenges that an entrepreneur faces? They work 24/7, so that's a huge thing.
It is a huge thing. I think at the beginning of the journey, for me, honestly, I understood that I didn't have the experience of being an entrepreneur, right? I didn't have the experience of being my own, running my own business. And so because I realized that, I sought out, but I knew this was something that I was going to do. I sought out a business coach. I sought somebody that can guide me through this process. I think that's one of the most important things when you're out there on your own, is to make sure that you have people around you that can guide you, mentors. And that doesn't have to be a coach you reach out to, but maybe it's, you following somebody that you have seen has done this successfully, right? Just kind of in the beginning, copying what they're doing. And then once you get there, you can add your own flavor into it. But, to be able to look at what somebody else has done, take inspiration from that, follow the process that worked for them, that is so helpful. And so there was a lot of needing to do that in the beginning. I was also still a little, I'm good now, but at the time when I first started this, I couldn't sleep. My brain hadn't figured out how to do that after brain injury. So I was half a person. And I think that's what makes it even more important, is to understand you're going to have to rely on other people, right?
Correct.
You, I hear the cars honking. I love this. You aren't going to be able to do this by yourself. You just can't. You're one person. And so to be able to be humble enough to understand that you're going to have to ask for help. When it comes to the 24/7 hours of being an entrepreneur. I won't say that's not true. What I've learned that I have to do, I am more productive when I take time off. It was hard for me at first to realize this, that I actually, because I have a schedule and my days are plotted out, I have to schedule one day every week where I won't say I don't do any work, but where I take it off and I don't have to do any work, right? And, in the evenings, I need to turn my mind off, or else I am going to bed and my mind is still spinning on everything that's going on and everything I need to get done, and I'm not going to sleep. And if I don't sleep, that means my next day is not going to be very productive. And it is all about being productive. So, it is. It's this ongoing best for you, right? And how you're going to best manage it. Yeah.
So true, so true. So, as Suzy, I mentioned in the starting that it's mostly for the students, those are like going out of school and out of college. So,
yeah.
Because, for example, me, I'm a college student. I'm doing my master's MBA. Okay. So I want to start a venture, for example, but honestly, I don't have the resources, especially the monetary resources to start a venture for somebody to invest. So how do a student manage that? I mean, how would a student manage that? I don't have the resources, but I have a great plan and idea, but how do
I love that question. Because I think so many entrepreneurs, not even just students, have that same challenge, right? They're like, I have this great idea. What do I do with it? And I think it goes back to like what we were just talking about. It's going to be the people around us, because although maybe we don't have the monetary resources, we've got relationships with people, we've got friends, we've got family. And the more people, when you get started, maybe you're not able to pay for employees. And that was me, to be honest, that was me. When you get enough people, when you are passionate about what it is that you're doing, right? When you have this idea, when you have this drive, you will find that people want to help you. You ask for help, people want to be a part of it. And so that would be my advice for anybody kind of trying to get out there, start up. If you feel like you don't have the resources, you will be surprised. I have a story. When I first started doing this, I didn't have the resources. I actually posted on LinkedIn for a developer and got, a ton of people, but very little to get started. And I was at the company I was working at the time. There was a gentleman who was in the marketing department. I really liked how he approached things. And so I asked him for advice. I'm asking for help from anybody I can. I asked him for advice, and I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. I like your marketing style. Can you help me? And he actually said, Suzy, do you know what I used to do? And I didn't. I had been with the company for over 8 years. He'd only been there for 1 year. And he's like, I used to be president of an app development company. And I went, wow, see, that's awesome. But until we ask people, we don't know. He set me up with the developer that I have now. That's amazing. But until we ask people, until we reach out, until we tell them our story, right, people don't know to come to us. We have to go to them. Sure. That would probably be my biggest advice for anybody getting out there. Start spreading the message and start enlisting help.
So true. So reaching out to people is so important. You need to make that network with people.
Absolutely. And that you'll be surprised how much it just continues to help you as you do go on about your journey, as your business does start to take off. You've got these people that also know people that also know people. And it's it's incredibly important. Yes.
It forms a chain. You know people, then they know people, then it forms a chain.
Yeah, right. And you never know. You never know who somebody knows. You never know who is somebody's uncle or cousin. You just don't know. Yeah.
True. So Suzy, next question would be what would be top 3 skills that you would say an entrepreneur should have inside them to be successful?
I think number 1 is going to be resilience. the ability when things get tough to be able to look at that situation. And it doesn't mean that that situation isn't hard, but it means that you can look at the situation and understand that that isn't forever and there's something beyond it. And you learn from what that situation is, right? There's always going to be some kind of lesson. Two, kind of goes back to what we were talking about before with discipline, the ability to understand you are making your own schedule every day. You are completely accountable. You are not reporting to anybody. So it's all on you. Yes, you can sleep in, right? But that's not going to help you. That's not going to get you more hours in your day. That's not going to, So resilience, discipline. And I would actually say number 3 would probably be heart. Yeah, to have that underlying purpose into what it is that you're doing. I actually think that's probably the biggest one, to be honest with you, because that's what's going to drive all of the other pieces.
So true, so true. So those are the students, those who want to be entrepreneurs, do look out to the skills, whether you have it or not.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, suppose that's an additional question for you, like it came to my mind, is that suppose not all ventures are successful. There are so many ventures that are, failed over time, invested a lot of money. So, in such situation, should a person leave the idea of being an entrepreneur, or should a person take up a regular degree job or something, or should he or should be there and fight more to get back the market share it has lost?
I think, and this is just my opinion, you keep fighting, to be honest with you. Yes, you can lose money. And so maybe what you learn is you have a great idea, but how you went about it was the wrong way. Or, the people that you brought into your circle, because that is going to be incredibly important, is the who is in your circle. Maybe somebody in there wasn't the best person, right? And something went wrong. It's going to be about the lessons you learn. But I would say you keep going. If you have that drive, if you have that purpose, yes, you're going to be defeated. Yes, that's going to not feel good, right? For a while that it feels like a failure. But I think that the people that make it are the ones that experience that, and then they keep going. They do take the lessons and they use that for what's next, because it's, as much as you see people that are incredibly successful out there, I guarantee it was not an easy path, and I guarantee it was not an easy road. But what sets them apart is that they kept going, right? They didn't turn it all in and go, okay, fine, I shouldn't do this. They went, no, I am supposed to do this. So I'm just going to figure out how to make it happen.
So true, so true. So consistent and be there, work hard. That's the key.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Every day, you just keep going and create a good network of people around you. Yeah.
So, Suzy, coming to the very last question of the webinar is, what piece of advice would you give to college graduates or school, recent school pass out students who want to become an entrepreneur in the future?
What advice? I would say,
a young entrepreneur, what advice would you like to give?
Well, and it's funny because I think that this may be a little counter to what a lot of people say, because people will say, go after what the money is, understand, looking down the road and, really set up your future. Here's what I've learned, though. Life does not care if you have a plan. It really doesn't. And it is going to happen in all kinds of different ways that, we can't see coming. So what I would say is, honestly, follow your heart. I think that when you lead from that, like we were talking about before, that's what brings people to you, that passion. That's what's going to, regardless of what does come at you, help you keep going. That would be my advice, to figure out what you are out there doing, and maybe doing something like accounting or engineering is what calls to you, right? That's where your heart is, and you go, no, I think this is amazing, and that's awesome. But maybe it's something like what I'm doing, where you want to bring love to the world. Okay, follow that. Figure out how you can connect with people and what your way to be able to do that is going to be. But always, always follow the heart.
That's an amazing deed, honestly. When you say bringing love to people, that's so important in today's world right now and with the current situation. That's like so important.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Suzy, we are at the end of the webinar. So that was a great, great session, I must say. And thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm sure today's session has cleared ample of doubt for all the future entrepreneurs. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you. I enjoyed this a lot. This was really amazing, and I love what you guys are doing. I think this is incredibly important, especially in today's, environment. So thank you.
Yes. So all the future entrepreneurs, buckle up and stay tuned with us. And if you have any questions regarding the amazing career path, then do write it down in the comment section. So Enlightenment is working towards the goal to inspire students to excel in their careers. With the changing dynamics, we bring the experts from some of these very interesting and offbeat career paths. So download our application and follow us on social media handles to explore the world of careers. Thank you so much, Suzy, for joining us, and hope to connect with you also through the social media platforms. It was a great, great session. Thank you so much.